Hey everybody, coming up tonight on Now, it's the story of a community rallying for a person who police now say deceived them.
One dad has an interesting way to get his son to pay attention in class. We'll talk about it.
Plus, Bill Green live from basically everywhere in the state of Maine.
This is News Center Now. It's been 31 years since Kimberly Morrow has gone missing. Her father is not giving up hope. Good evening, everybody. I'm Lee Goldberg.
I'm Amanda Hill. A proposal to keep cold cases in the public's eye was shot down in Augusta today, which is the eve of when Kimberly Morrow went missing.
Now, that bill would have required the state's cold case unit to hold a press conference on the anniversary of each case. Chris is live in Augusta tonight with the story of one father who is not giving up.
Well, Lee and Amanda, Richard Morrow has been searching for his daughter for 31 years today. Kim went missing from her driveway in her home in Jay when she was just 17 years old. Police say they're doing everything they can to solve this case, and Richard says he's doing the same.
Spring is a time of renewal for Richard Morrow. Every year, he rips down the faded, worn posters and replaces them, begging anyone with information about his daughter, Kim, to come forward.
It is 31 years. I could have never imagined it. Never. I've lost so much in that period of time.
His health has deteriorated, making it tougher each year to repost the signs with his daughter's face.
And there are people that knows. That is the discouraging part, is how can somebody live knowing some of the horrors that other families are going through and live with themselves.
We know who those people are, those people know who they are, and we are waiting and hoping to receive that one piece of information that will allow us to bring Kim home to her family.
Lieutenant Jeff Love with the Cold Case Unit was the primary investigator on Kim's case in 2009. He says the bill put forward by the families could have compromised some of the investigations.
We take these cases, we work on them, and we take them home with us, and we live them 24/7. To hold these people responsible for what they've done, we have to maintain the integrity of that case.
I don't care if anybody never gets prosecuted. That is not what I'm here for. I am here for Kim and only Kim to bring her remains home, bury her, and put this to final rest.
So that next year, he can take down these signs for good.
I guess that's the beauty of it. You took every problem that I've got and just totally lifted that off of me. I think it hurts more now than it ever did. And I just want to bring it to an end. That's all I want.
Reporting every lead that does not pan out could potentially make the problem worse for some of those families who are just still waiting for answers. Morrow says the bill that they proposed is not dead yet. He says there's an amendment that is likely to be heard tomorrow here in Augusta. Lee and Amanda.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. A woman from Sebago accused of deceiving people into giving her thousands of dollars has been indicted by a Cumberland County grand jury.
25-year-old Hillary McClellan's friends and employer say she told them she had cancer. Now she stands charged with theft by deception. We are going to head over to Chris Rose, who's been covering this story today. Chris, interesting story to follow along with.
Yeah, it is. The community really rallied around Hillary McClellan, raising $10,000 between October and January. And it was in January when the suspicions really started to surface surrounding her story. That's when her employer, the Depot Street Tap House in Bridgeton, posted on Facebook, "We were duped by our employee who we all thought had been fighting cancer for over a year." Bridgeton police launched an investigation which resulted in this indictment. 16 individuals and businesses donated to McClellan, all believing she was battling cancer. The Bridgeton House of Pizza, the preschool room, and 302 West Smokehouse were just some of the businesses that gave her money. Ed Enos is one of the individuals. He gave her $1,000.
It is disturbing. On multiple different levels, that somebody would concoct this story and then take advantage of the community. regarding that. You know, things I worry about long term, like, is that the community won't rally the next time when somebody needs something.
Now, we want to stress McClellan was indicted by a grand jury. An indictment is not a finding of guilt. It simply means the grand jury has determined there is enough evidence to warrant charges in this case. McClellan will have her day in court in the coming weeks, Amanda and Lee.
So something we will be following, all right?
Absolutely.
Hey, shocking to see some blue skies today. Hey, Keith.
Every once in a while, I just like to keep hope alive out there with a few breaks of sunshine. There are showers, though, and some heavier, steadier rain moving now into down east and northern Maine. There's a batch that's rotating through. You can see some nasty stuff actually up in Canada. A lot of this will stay in Canada, but it will clip Aroostook County and get into parts of down east and Holton as well. So there'll be rain there tonight. So meanwhile, just scattered showers over the rest of the state. Upper level low still clearly in place. It loosened its grip a little bit today. It will do so tomorrow as well. It's just variations on a theme, how much energy, how much moisture is in this upper level low, but the pattern remains the same until Friday. So there's that rain over northern Maine and down east later tonight. By tomorrow morning, some of that is light snow in the higher terrain, and then scattered showers through the day on Wednesday. I think tomorrow is a lot like today, particularly over central and southern Maine, where we see at least glimpses of sunshine in between those scattered showers. Same deal on Thursday. A look ahead to Mother's Day, guys, in just a few minutes.
When he was cutting me, I said, no, please don't. People can't believe I'm still alive.
Cab driver Joe Kamsey is out of the hospital, and the man who was accused of attacking him is out of jail. Now his employer is raising questions about safety.
Kamsey was driving a 207 taxi early Friday morning when his passenger announced he would cut him. Then he did. Police charged Justin Christensen with the attack. Kamsey says he's never felt unsafe driving in Portland before. It's a fairly safe city. His boss says he's wanted to install partitions in company cabs for a while, but claims that the city was against them.
I mean, Portland is known as, you know, a small local town, small local city, safe. Nightlife's great. Let's have a good time. But it's time to protect the drivers.
207 taxi owner Craig Cobbett says violence is increasing as the drug epidemic builds. He says he reached out to the city of Portland for permission to install the plexiglass between the front and rear seats of his taxis, and that a city official granted permission.
But city spokesperson Jessica Grondin says the city doesn't actually grant permission. It's a decision left up to individual companies. Grondin says that from a public safety standpoint, the city's police and permitting and inspections departments support a separation. We reached out to a few other cab companies in Portland for their reaction, and the majority of response that we actually heard was that they didn't want the partitions because it takes away from that sort of small town conversational feel. The owners also said they can certainly understand why other companies like 207 would want to install them based on the attack on Friday and an increase in drug-related crimes.
Police say a Portland man sexually assaulted a child over 9 years. Adrian Stein here with more news now. Kevin Carey is indicted on 19 counts, including 15 counts of gross sexual assault. Police say the assaults date back to 2007. Carey is in jail on a more than $100,000 cash bail. Lewiston's mayor tells the city's Somali community not to be alarmed by a mailing playing on immigrants' deportation fears. Today, Bob McDonald said that he got one of the postcards suggesting that U.S. Immigration and Customs is planning to deport immigrants. He says legal immigrants should not be alarmed by this. Well, it is 3 times the fun this Mother's Day for a Maine family. The Allards welcomed home their identical triplet boys. Can you imagine? That is about a 1 in 200 million chance. The boys, they were born in January. They've come home sort of one by one since then. Mom says she uses wristbands sometimes to tell them apart. And coming up on News Center at 6 o'clock, you are going to hear from that very sleep-deprived mother. Can you imagine?
No.
3 at once.
Yeah,
Lee, come on.
3 at once.
3 at once.
Yeah.
We know you've got a lot.
No,
At one time.
No.
You get one to sleep and then the next one wakes up. You get that one to sleep, the next
it's
one
a
wakes up.
vicious cycle. God bless her. All right. Coming up, a story, speaking of parenthood, that most of us can relate to. When this dad found out his son wasn't paying attention in class, he went above and beyond to help him stay focused.
Oh, did he? And later, Bill Green scouring the state in search of spring.
We're examining the old adage that spring comes north 10 miles a day, and right now we're in Bridgewater in Aroostook County in a rainstorm, but we'll be examining the fauna and flora of the entire state of Maine coming up on News Center Now.
Cancellations at a Florida airport kept hundreds of passengers from flying, but not their fists. Hi everyone, I'm Katie Ortiz with your Social Stop. It was mayhem at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport when Spirit Airlines canceled 9 flights. Passengers were forced to wait for hours at the front desk for refunds and an explanation. All the frustration led to a huge fight. Cops intervened, arresting at least 3 people. It all comes in light of a labor dispute between Spirit Airlines and the Airline Pilots Association. Pilots arguing for better contracts are refusing to fly, resulting in canceled flights. Now, we asked you online if you thought airline customer service has gotten worse or if people are just less patient. Michael Lassard is a commercial pilot and says it's both. He says no other business in any industry could ever survive if they provided customer service that is that poor. It's just become the accepted norm for air travelers. Shelley believes people think rules don't apply to them. She says should something not go their way, they can throw the fit of a petulant child and then sue for millions when an escalation occurs. At some point, enough is enough. And that is what a dad in Texas said when he was sick of getting emails from his son's physics teacher. Now, according to BuzzFeed, 17-year-old Bradley Howard kept getting in trouble in physics class for talking too much. Dad said if he didn't stop, he'd show up and sit down next to him in class. Now, this picture says it all. Bradley's sister tweeted the photo of the dad selfie in Bradley's class, who looks especially focused. So many parents applauded him on our Facebook page. Apparently, lots of Mainers have done this too. Michelle said she followed her daughter not just to one class, but to all classes for an entire day. She says she had some trouble making it to class, so I decided I would help her learn where they all were. Now, finally, victory at last for Carter, the teen who begged Wendy's last month for a year's worth of free chicken nuggets. And in a tweet, the fast food chain told him he needed 18 million retweets for the prize. Now, Carter didn't quite reach that number, but he did get 3.5 million retweets, which, oh, by the way, broke Ellen's record of the most retweeted tweet of all time. That was good enough for Wendy's, who is also donating $100,000 to the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption. So now I need to figure out how to get a year's worth of free fries.
Who's going to pay that poor kid's medical bills after a year's worth of
seriously
chicken
nuggets?
Well, I mean, if I survive the amount of fries that I eat, I think he's okay with chicken nuggets.
I hope he eats other things too. You know.
Yeah, he'll probably get sick of it after.
Maybe like if he gets some water in there too, I think he's okay. That's all you need, water and chicken nuggets.
Yeah, there you go, there you go. Katie's got it all figured out. No, thanks for that tip.
You're welcome.
Coming up on Now. Can you trust what you read online? That was fake. We're going to show you some Now headlines and how they can be confusing for everyone.
And believe it or not, there might actually be a day without rain this week. We'll listen to Keith when we come back.
Well, we're a third of the way through May, and a lot of us are wondering where spring actually is. So today, Bill Green, we gave him the keys to Stormy, driving from one end of the state to the other to see how things look down south compared to up north. And Bill, how are things looking in Mars Hill right now?
Well, things are looking pretty wet here, actually. Let me give you the best look that I can give you right now, Keith, which is a look at Mars Hill behind the buildings here. We're in downtown Mars Hill, right on Main Street, so the building's going to block it a bit. We'll show you what's out in front of us. Rain, we're taking a left and heading over towards Presque Isle right now, which is about 15 miles away. Can't give you one more look at Mars Hill. We'll keep a look at where we're going. Our idea here on this story today is to look at the old adage that spring comes north 10 miles a day. And so we've driven from Kittery all the way up here to Mars Hill, and we've learned a great deal about that, and we'll probably have it eventually on May 27th, my final analysis. But it's going to be something to the effect, Keith, that each mile, it doesn't come mile by mile, it goes in hops. And the other thing is probably like 7 or 8 miles a day might be more accurate. But right now, I think, Keith, am I in the rainiest spot in Maine up here?
You're very close to it, Bill. Yeah, it is much rainier up there. And I think Bill's assessment is right. It's kind of these increments that you see, southern Maine, obviously, and then central Maine. And then the county sometimes has its own weather altogether.
Yeah,
it's always a challenge.
Snow for a long time.
Yeah, you know,
long after most of Maine didn't.
Right, still had snowpack, which is not unusual. It's all about latitude. You know, when Joe was still here, he used to always say the hardest part about this job is including that far north because it's almost a different climate. You know, during the summer it doesn't feel like it, but this time of the year you feel it. Although this one is a great equalizer, this upper level low, because nobody's happy.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
equal opportunity of misery.
You're right.
Yeah.
I will turn this car around and we won't have spring. You can see where Bill is and where that rain is lifting now into Aroostook County. There's a lot less shower activity over the rest of the state. And this is some of the heavier stuff. It probably will get right over the border towards Holton and Presque Isle as well. And we'll move through tonight. We felt like it would be a split state forecast tonight and tomorrow. And it will be, with the northern part of the state seeing a lot more precipitation. Here's a look at that upper level low sitting and swirling still. You know, the overall pattern is not changing that much, and that's part of the problem. But there are kind of iterations of this upper level low. Some days it's stronger than others. And so today was a weekday. That's why we saw more sunshine. And I think tomorrow's similar over much of the state, where we see peaks of sunshine at least, and then scattered showers. You notice it's cold enough aloft that we'll be looking at wet snowflakes in the high terrain by tomorrow mid-morning or so. Tomorrow afternoon, just scattered showers again with a few peaks of sunshine. And then Thursday, very similar to today, which is to say a good amount of cloud cover, but much less in the way of shower coverage. And then look at this, Friday, actually a dry day. What a novel concept. This is how we've broken it down by precipitation chances, and we're sitting around 40% the next 2 days. So that means, you know, 40% chance at any given location of seeing showers. We're going to go down. Oh, I messed that number up. That should say 10% here on Friday. It's going to be dry and dry through most of Saturday before the rain unfortunately does return for Mother's Day. Total rainfall amounts are not that big. Again, you're looking at under a ½ inch in most locations, but it's sporadic and it's around a lot as far as the showers go. And that low, still watching it for Mother's Day, looks very wet over the southern third of the state. The question mark on Mother's Day will be how far north does that rain shield extend. I don't love Sunday though. I continue to feel that Saturday is a much better day. Saturday is 2/3 to 3/4 dry. I put that in a decimal for you just in case you don't like to think in fractions. 2/3 or 0.6666 dry on Saturday. Rain for most of us on Sunday and showers on Monday. And again, as far as breaking out of this pattern altogether and replacing it with a new one, see you May 20th.
Well, all right.
It's really far away.
Can we just hibernate until May 20th?
It's really far away. It's not nice.
I know.
Yeah.
You know, what do you do?
All right, well, we'll see Keith
You're
on
right.
May 20th too, apparently.
You're right.
Yeah.
All right, figuring out fact versus fiction. It can certainly be difficult in the age of social media and so-called fake news.
A survey conducted with Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia shows even smart, informed people are falling prey to this. So what do you think? You think you could spot the fake news?
Fake news is something that's totally false, quite often created with an economic incentive in mind in order to attract eyeballs.
So many people now don't believe anything they see, and they're just like, oh, that didn't happen. That was real. That was fake.
People will take that stuff, share it with other people, believe it, and vote based on it. If you believe it and it's false, that's a problem.
It's like, what was the real and what was the fake one?
It was hard. I was like, I guess I can imagine a flesh or, you know, brain-eating bacteria, possibly.
I wasn't sure at all.
There was the one about like a guy trying to kill zombies, and I was like, oh, it's got to be that one, but this doesn't seem to be kind of the fake news I imagined.
I found out that I had a lot of friends who were really nasty people.
We deactivated our Facebook accounts.
It's propaganda, something that gets into your head and makes you think that this is what I have to do. And that's propaganda.
You might be better off treating all news as potentially fake. Look at it skeptically. Don't simply ingest what you're being told.
Tomorrow night we'll tell you what signs to look for online when you're looking through this stuff to figure out if it's true and if it's coming from a reputable source.
Sometimes tough to tell, for sure. Sydney Williams is here with a preview of what's coming up at 5:30.
Yeah, guys, here's what we're working on. Governor LePage made some comments that are raising some eyebrows, comparing Narcan, which is the heroin overdose drug, to EpiPens, allergy medication. We're going to hear what he had to say. Plus, the choice could be yours when it comes to whether Maine moves into the Atlantic time zone. We're going to update you as to where that proposal stands. And when the sun comes out, the bicycles come out. But there are some rules of the road you need to know, both as a driver and as a rider. We're going to go through those coming up at 5:30.
All righty, News Center Now continues after the break.
All right, in today's Brain Drops, we're going to go through a couple of myths that have not much scientific basis. And we're going to start with turkey, that the chemical in turkey makes you sleepy. This is something that you've heard many times,
It's
right?
100% true.
Okay.
100%
Turns out
true.
there are lots of foods that have more, including cheddar cheese. And the real reason that people get so sleepy is pretty obvious on Thanksgiving. Net amount of food, alcohol that is often involved, and the fact that you were eating a ton of carbs. So it is a very small factor. Otherwise, you'd get tired every time you had cheddar cheese, which is delicious.
Right.
And nobody wants that.
Right.
Let's move on to our next one. So that one was kind of interesting. This one, Lee, may hit home. I don't know how you feed your children or whatnot, but sugar causes hyperactivity in children. And you like the image that I pulled off of our image server for this.
Could have just asked Lee for
Definitely true. I'm going to send you a picture from my house.
We can have a selfie.
Yeah.
This is also not accurate. They've actually tried a bunch of studies giving children lots of sugar, and particularly candy, and seeing if it affects their brain waves, their activity, stimulant level, and it didn't. And the only thing they can figure out is that it's Pavlovian in nature, that the times that they get candy, for example, might be a celebratory time. Let's see if we can get this last one in there. And natural sugar, like honey, is better than processed sugar. This actually surprised me. Not true. It's not true. Your body processes it the same way. The only difference is a lot of times honey is in a better food overall as opposed to syrup.
We're going to continue this debate off camera because
The children?
I don't agree with these
I have
things.
no first-hand experience.
All right. Gotta
News
go.
Center at 5:30 starts now.